Old eggs, 15 years old. October 15th, 2005. Now it's January the 20th, 2006. That's November, December, January. Hey, it's 15 and a quarter years old. Sure is a sweet boy. This is a water dish. We've got a truck coming out. Let's see how high is the dirt pile. Yeah, I don't know if we got that or not. He was in such a hurry. Might be speeding almost there. Got pretty high. Well, it's the 25th January. We're still hauling out of here. Now there's a train going at a speed that's tolerable. Now if he's pulling a heavy load toward Dixon Street there, or what's making him go slow, but he is. There is a slight rise through here, but it's not enormous. Some of them come through there without slowing down. It's like a lot of, that's what we used to call gondolas. And then it's a pretty big freight train. And so it could be some kind of tankers or gondolas. Big things that look like the trailer of a semi. That's a big train. It's still coming. Yeah, we got pictures of trains, I guess. Yeah, that's the end of it. Well, we'll see. I'm going to interview them after they do in them, and see these old boys. They don't even put their cover down. But at least those times they were all running the stop sign coming out of there and scaring the shit out of people in the street. But at least now they are. You boys, I've been making as much a day, I'm making a week. Boy, the Sparrows and Cardinals love the corn. It's cracked corn. It's close to the same as chops. They did a good job with it. The chops machine was broken, they said. These guys love it. He's got it covered up. Oh, good. Good for him. Oh boy. The traffic on 6th Street. Oh, we're grateful. We could never do that. Now we can sit here and count cars if we want to. What a deal. No cover. Well, couldn't be hasty. Not much sticking above the side. Out higher and deeper. But he did stop for the stop sign. It's a good thing because you had a couple of cars passing at that same span. Well, nobody's told me what happened. Maybe B, the big old black and white cat there, can tell me what happened to the mailbox. B, was it one of those guys with the big trucks? Huh? Well, somebody has pushed our mailbox over. That's not good. Yeah. Not a friendly thing to do. Yeah. All this extra traffic of these big trucks for the last couple of weeks. I don't know, maybe if we pull it up and jam it back in the ground, but as it is right now, it's kind of difficult to move. Spin it around a little. But not easy to lift up, apparently. It's kind of hung up in there. Can't remember if that pole has concrete on the end, but if it does, that makes it hard to move. Should slide right out if it's just the pole. Yeah. These guys are having fun. Really lowered that ground up there. Didn't pile sawing some more. Always makes me nervous when he starts that thing up. Telling what big tree. Yeah, they're always his own trees, but hard to explain why he's doing it. So now we know they're not going to build those things high up in the air, unless they get permission later and decide to come back and do it. Quite a mess out there. Thank goodness we have World Peace Wetland Prairie here to the left. But Lord, what are they going to do with all this now? They're going to move that out, start over. Somebody call this a cluster. And I think that's what it is. They've certainly torn up the old blacktop here. Somewhere out here they're planning to put a telephone pole. That's it lying right over there. But they haven't quite determined where it's going to go here. It had been surveyed and marked before, but no way to tell where it is right now. So we'll get that done. So the street's going to come right across here, parallel to this fence, and I guess take out that sign. What's that? The curve sign. Here's Mitch talking to a power company guy or something. Right. At least that dust isn't bothering any people. Just dusting up the woods that are small remaining area that's left. I see you, Corey. Corey. I see you. Corey. Corey, look around. Good girl. Good girl. You're a very nice pet cat. For a few hours a day, you're an outdoor cat. Well, all that dirt's gone. Tons and tons and tons. Got all this nice gravel spread here for no good reason except they are hauling that out, and they tore up the blacktop. Of course, they tore up a lot of blacktop on the actual street down there, starting at the stop sign, but they won't be fixing that for a long time. And these developers may not feel responsible for much of that. I don't know. But you can see what it did up here, and you can see how it's cracked down there. Of course, there's our wonderful tree on the World Peace Wetland Prairie that they've worked up to the roots and damaged seriously. Oh boy. See the weight of those trucks, what it did. Just buckle this shallow pavement out here. Doves still love the area. That's the stop sign they kept running. Sure was easy to see though, wasn't it? Big Ugly is what they've created here.
We're going to be as timely with all this as we can. We want to inform you about what we're doing, but we also want to get your input. So what the quick version, by the way, I'm Kelly Mulholland, Donna Steer. And what we're going to do is play a couple songs.
Just got this.
We're going to play one.
Are you collecting it? I'll put mine on the table.
And then And then we're going to have a couple short statements about what Aubrey's been going through. And then we're going to get in discussion groups for about 30 minutes. And you're going to get to choose between 5 topics. And then also, it's very important for us, by the way, that this sheet that you all have, your checklist, that's the most important thing about this whole meeting, because it's our connection between what you're interested in, your availability, shows you what we're doing. We really want to get those back from you.
And there's an incentive here. When you hand them back into us, we're going to have a drawing for one of Hank Kaminsky's pieces of the Peace Sphere, and so we'll use those as our drawing forms.
No purchase necessary. Okay, so we're just kind of, for fun, we thought we'd break the ice with a little music. And Donna, as usual, has a brand new song. This is an untested song, so we're going to test it out here.
And I'm hoping it tests out okay, because it was based on a dream I had, and it's a very surrealistic dream. So you may not understand what I'm talking about, but you know, that's the way it goes.
And as usual, Donna's songs are always a multimedia product. So this is the dream in another depiction here. So when you listen to the song, maybe this will make sense to you. And then by the time the song's over, she's going to offer you sunflower seeds.
Now, plant in your garden, because the name of this song is called Van Gogh's Flowers. Last night I dreamed I painted a portrait of myself in the style of Frida Kahlo, looking like a doctor in a white lab coat. Round my neck I wore a stethoscope. I drew big silver tears rolling down my cheek, painted the background all dark and bleak. Then I drew the world perched on my shoulders. I was taking care of it. I was standing on a big old clock. Time was running out, top tick. Then I looked into my garden through my kitchen window. There were sunflowers growing, so tall and beautiful. In the back of painting I remember, one by Vincent Van Gogh. So I got out a paintbrush and I dipped it in yellow, painted flowers in the foreground, to remind myself there's so much beauty blooming all around. Then my dream, it took me to a scary place. It looked like a painting they called The Scream. Had my hands cupped over my ears, started to wait, started to keen for all the people in the world without a belly full of night. For all the junkies on the street trying to get high. For the homeless mama and her babies trying to survive. Then I looked up to the heavens through my kitchen window. A million billion stars were growing right down into my soul, swirling, twirling high above me, just like Vincent Van Gogh. So I got out my paintbrush and I dipped it in yellow, painted stars across the sky, to remind myself we all have light burning down inside. Then I asked myself, how do we find the light? How do we share the light? What do we do with the light? Then my dream, it started shifting. I found myself drifting into the shady part of town. Came across a man who'd fallen down. Reached out my hand and I helped him up. Gave to him my last and love. Then I learned the answer to my questions. I knew it in much beauty moving all around.
The Fayetteville community is, you know, we have this open mic piece once a month.
And Emily will be hosting it this month.
That's right.
A week from tonight.
And the local songwriters have really risen to the occasion. There's just been dozens and dozens of songs written for this particular open mic. Anyway.
This is called Hard Questions for the New Year. It's the season of joy and celebration. We sing songs about brotherhood and peace, and close our eyes to our runaway nation as corruption and hatred increase. Though we don't have to look very far to find inhumanity, greed, and disgrace. But if we can learn to live without hurting each other, what's the point of the whole human race? It's no time for self-righteous denial. We're profiteering from destruction and war. We squander money and lives all the while. We neglect our own helpless and poor. Oh, there's nothing like a multinational pharmaceutical to put public health care in its place. But if we can learn to live without hurting each other, what's the point of the whole human race? Can we claim to see the light? Can we champion human rights while living down allegations of torture? Can our rationales explain ozone holes and climate change as mere fantasies of alarmist reporters? So let's make our New Year's resolutions and remember we have problems to solve. Let's quit fighting over teaching evolution and prove that we can actually evolve. To our conflicts and challenges with integrity, compassion, and grace. 'Cause if we can learn to live without hurting each other, what's the point of the whole human race? And if we can learn to live without poisoning our environment, if we can learn to live without condemning other belief systems, and if we can learn to live without hypocrisy and deception, what's the point of the whole human race?
Well, without further ado, I'd like to introduce the president of Omni for Peace, Justice, and Ecology, Mr. Vic Bennett.
I tried to speak to each of you individually. If I haven't spoken to all of you, please say hello to me after our meeting tonight. We've had two questions. What should we do? And what's the point? So we're here tonight to examine such questions as that. Now I want to talk about activism, being an activist. Those of us in the peace and justice movement are in a struggle with language, aren't we? We're involved in language. Terrorism. What does that mean? Well, depends on whether or not you're in the United States government or it's you and I. Terrorism as small groups, or terrorism as state terror, which is never mentioned by our government, as far as I know. Our defense, another powerful word. It used to be the Department of War. Now it's the Department of Defense, and one of the greatest linguistic coups in all of politics, that the public has been convinced that all of our aggressions are in defense. How you define words are powerful, hugely powerful, don't you agree? And there's a word of less magnitude than terrorism and defense, and that is activism, an activist. I have heard, have you not, and read attacks on activists. Somehow this is a negative experience. But activists, or activism, to me, is a noble pursuit, a high pursuit. Don't you agree? In fact, we're all activists here in this room. I don't even have to guess. I take it for granted. It's a high pursuit, taking positive, direct action for good, for social justice, for economic justice, for world peace, for human rights, stewardship of the environment. This is why we're here together tonight, to be activists for our society, which doesn't seem to match up to what we would like it to be. In a sense, we're all also utopianists. That is, that we dream and imagine a better world than the one we live in, and are willing to work for it the way you all are. Omni is assuredly an activist organization, and this evening will make that clear. We, or at least I, begin with the recognition that, at least since World War II, the United States has become increasingly a warfare state. We, and I think all of us here in this room, would offer an alternative at the grassroots. We would create a culture of peace and justice, as the United Nations has asked us to do during the first decade of this century. How will we do it? How do we do it? How do we do that? Well, this evening offers both an explanation and an illustration of creating a culture of peace. We are doing it right now in this room. We are bringing people together tonight to assess what we all have achieved and to suggest how we might do better in the future. All of us activists working together for peace and justice, creating a culture of peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave, for your tireless work. I've never known anybody in my life that spends such, just never stops. Thank goodness. Another person that never stops. I'm going to invite up. We have two vice presidents, and one is Melanie Diesel, but the one that's going to speak now is, I'm looking for you. There you go. Gladys Tiffany. I think it's Gladys Tiffany.
Good crowd, wow. The thing that I wanted to just tell you about is kind of what we really were hoping that would come from this evening. Because as Dick talked about, you know, we are a group of activists who have put time and energy and money into trying in some way to make the world a better place than we see it as being right now. Two things that we decided we wanted to do last year when we called our first membership meeting were that we wanted to increase our membership and we wanted to increase participation. And we were kind of successful at that. We didn't find ourselves quite as ready to fulfill everything that we really intended to do. Partly because we didn't get nearly enough information from the cool people who came. So the sheet that you have, that interest form that we passed out earlier today, this is what we're hoping will help us do better, what we could not do last year. Because we found out that the people who we did get that form from, we used them. And our activist base actually increased by close to half last year because we had some information from some of the people who attended. And you know, when you're making note of the things you're interested in, you've got to realize that some of these jobs are big jobs. Sometimes it's just showing up and taking names at the door. You know, I mean, it's not that everything on there is a monster job. And as the time comes for something to be done, you can say, I don't have time to run that entire project, but I'll show up and bring some food. And you know, these are things that we want to create a job where people who are busy people, who do not have time to do major projects, have a way to participate in the peace movement and feel the connection that we know you have in your heart. Because I think that the one thing that we have found more than anything is the growth of the peace movement is the growth of relationships among us. And expanding those relationships in new and better ways. Because, you know, if you look around here, we are a pretty white group. And we are limited in a lot of ways by the fact that we do not know well how to talk to Black people, Hispanic people, Oriental people. There are a lot of people in Fayetteville, Arkansas who we do not know well. I bet most of us have friends within other ethnic communities, but they don't understand that we want their participation within the movement to make our society a better society. And so we're going to keep the two projects that we set ourselves for last year. Larger numbers and more participation. But we're adding to that another idea that we need to expand our borders. We need to enlarge the sphere of our influence and a little bit further so that we take in more people, that next year when we come together, we know how to make the color in the room a little bit less white. This is a goal that we have been talking about for several months now, and that is very important to us. And the other thing is we don't know how to do it. This is the thing about the whole problem with the peace movement, is that the culture of peace, I mean, we adore the whole concept of the culture of peace, but the human race as a whole, we have no experience with it. We have no role models to speak of. We are pretty much figuring this out as we go. And if we don't figure out how to live without hurting each other, what is the point? We have got to figure this out. And we can only begin where we are. So we're starting in Fayetteville, Arkansas. We are a regional group. We are determined to do the best we can to create peace within our society on whatever level it is given to us to do. And we're going to start as soon as we can. So, as you take that sheet of paper, think about what you're interested in, and don't be shy. Stephen, stand up. Stephen is in charge of the raffle, and he will be collecting the sheets, and he has the perfect box for them. And when we're going to go and break up into our small groups and talk. And when we come back, we will have the raffle as part of that. So you need to have your sheet in his box, and we'll help you do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Okay, so let me, actually next, we decided to insert one special speaker because we're trying to focus, this checklist is basically targeted at upcoming events and things that are in the near future. And so Spring Fest is an opportunity for Omni to have a presence to the wider community that's virtually unparalleled. And we have the Rose Garden spot over there at the Walton Arts Center, and we have the opportunity to see thousands of people. So in the last couple of years, Jamie Ulick has been coordinating that effort. He's going to do it again this year, and he kind of came in under the wire, so we decided to have Jamie come up and say a few words to get you, all of us, up to speed. Jamie Ulick.
So this will be short and sweet. Springfest is coming up probably the second or third week in April. We don't have confirmation on it yet, but this, I don't think we'll have any problems doing the Rose Garden again. This will be our 4th year. Basically, they give us the whole Rose Garden for Omni, and we've done a folk stage. Basically, what it is, it's the Omni folk stage celebrating the social and political change through music. This event represents probably one of the largest PR events we have that we can actually outreach with Omni. We're talking about wanting new people, wanting to access the general population. There's 20,000 people on the street that day. Last year there was 22,000. It's a kind of event where having the Rose Garden, we'll set up the stage. You know, we have a core of people that will get good people in there and get a good draw for it. What we need to do though is we need to be able to utilize Springfest. Basically, the general population, this group is very familiar with Omni. The general population in Northwest Arkansas has no idea what Omni's doing, no idea a lot of the exciting things or interesting things we're doing. There's a lot of people out there that would like to get involved in things like this, but they don't have a clue where or how or what we're about. They hear, you know, you see a little bit of Omni here, a little bit there. I'm proposing basically that we use this as a public relations event. This year I would like to focus on Omni. We'll probably, on Positive Karen, we'll be doing a children's poster contest in the garden at Earth Day. We did that last year. It was really a good project. What I would like to do is have each of the 5 committees take and put a subcommittee together within your group that will help to design a quality visual graphic display that will say what the environmental group of Omni does. Do something. What we have now is when you walk into Springs Fest, you have a table like this, and we have some Omni
To come to the area, and I wanted to read you an excerpt, just a couple sentences of this a man named John C. from Australia is making a national tour, and he's come to America many times throughout the years, and a really remarkable person. I should buy my glasses. And he's kind of an unusual. He's like a bard. He travels around with a guitar. He's described as a hippie, but he's also made incredible inroads into rainforest issues. And he's supposedly, it's also, he tries to reconnect us with nature and try to teach people that we need to realize that we're part of nature, not the dominion over nature. And he's actually trying to rewrite what's it called? Could you read this for me? I think this is interesting. Okay.
Seed also recommended a new story. Is this the one?
Yeah.
Because the creation myth is outdated and tells us that the rapture is coming, so Earth has no value. We need poets, artists, and musicians to create this new story.
I thought that was interesting. It is kind of, the rapture is a dead end. There's not a lot of hope if you believe in that. And then one other sentence, can you read this sentence?
Unless we simultaneously address the underlying psychological and spiritual disease that allows modern humans to feel separate from nature, the destruction of species and life support systems So this sounds like somebody who's on our page, do you think? I know you don't know much.
I have met him. He came to Asheville.
Wow.
And Mindy's actually taken a workshop with him. He's totally great. He's a great introduction to ecology.
Yes.
Which is it really changes the way, changed the way I looked at the relationship with nature. It ignited my activism, so I'm all for it.
That's pretty lucky to have somebody that has first-hand knowledge.
How long is he anticipating being here?
Well, it's been relatively vague right now since his schedule is complex. He offered to come in late May, and apparently at little or no cost. I mean, it would be we would have to pay some travel expenses.
Is it
Very
possible to use your coordination of multiple groups so that you can expand the number of contacts that would be available with workers and perhaps expand the scope of his activity?
Right. Well, maybe. And you know, the biggest challenge is actually to figure out how to get people to come see somebody that they've never heard of. You know, that's always a challenge, and that'll be that's the task that we'll need to brainstorm on. And we can't really do that here in this amount of time, but on your questionnaire that I'm going to refer to many times, there's a place for you to mark down that you want to be on the environment committee or that you want to help with such things. So John Seed is a project that I think, especially now that we have a testimony, first-hand testimony.
In the publicity for his Asheville trip, I did some interviews with this traveling group goes and teaches with him or used to.
Okay.
And I'll be glad to put a link on Fix This so everybody can read the interview and just get more of their philosophy.
That's good. Did he do anything outside of your that activity? Like Joyce was asking about did he do anything else while he was in town?
What he did in Asheville was he gave a small kind of presentation that was pretty low key. He spoke. He writes songs, but he did that at the same time. They did I believe it was a weekend retreat, deep ecology, which I can't recommend highly enough. It's based a lot on the work of Joanna Macy, and you do experiential things with your group. It's a really neat experience.
Okay. Okay. If anybody has anything else to say about that, I'm trying to brush through a couple small topics. All right. They're not that small. Does anybody have anything to say about John Seed, though?
Was this going to be a standalone event, or was this going to be in conjunction?
It sounds like a standalone event because we're kind of at his mercy, timing-wise. I mean, it'd be great if he was here on Earth Day, but he's not. He's got a very complex tour, and we're really all we can do is see when he's available. And it sounds like late May is when he's giving us the option.
Maybe in late May, the time would be right to have part of the event at the wetlands.
That's what I was thinking.
Hey!
I was thinking that too, and I was thinking that our environment display ought to heavily, I know we're not on that yet, but ought to really play up what Aubrey did is they have
And the botanical garden should be.
You know, that's the wetland right course now is nothing but it doesn't have any improvements so far. I hate that word improvements. But that's interesting. You know what you just said about the botanical garden? It's got that big building which would actually house a big event, and it would solve one of our agenda items is how to coalition with other green groups, and the botanical garden is a green group.
Yes.
And so therefore we would have a partner.
Well, you could even have some kind of activity that would pull in the wetland. What are we doing? We've got this wetland, what's on these roll down, what's going to happen with it. You could have some kind of somebody lead that, like someone in the community, whoever.
We've got some good experts.
Aubrey's group, or,
right.
To talk about that, maybe with some. But if it's not feasible to meet at the wetland, then it's not.
Well, it doesn't have any facilities, but
right.
It is produced. Yeah.
But,
our Arkansas Native Plant Society would probably be very interested as well.
Did you get that? Thank you.
Well, and you can maybe get someone like one of the teachers at NWAC that's also involved in Omni that does like biology or something like Bernetta Hinterter.
Yes, I know Bernetta.
To say, okay, and she's with the Plant Society too, I think, and say, okay, students,
oh,
I
yeah.
want
it's
You're
forced attendance.
Hey, it works.
Sounds good.
There's a couple wetland specialists too, like Chuck Webb, Chuck Weiss from the universities in the wetland quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And they actually help raise money for the wetland as well.
Should really expand it out, and then sparse the listening technology, 3 weekly or.
Well, the regular stuff. But this is
Fill up the front
these
page.
coalitions are a way of publicizing because they publicize themselves. This is great. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, Fran is still thought on shooting.
Yep. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Are you aware that there's talk about
I bet it's on the same tour.
And I don't know if there's a way to, yeah, I'm sure.
It's probably on the same
whether
tour.
there's a way to do something together or whether there's separate things. Is he talking about
But I didn't know that. I'm glad to hear that. Right.
He's coming to you. That's probably, if somebody can figure out what his connection and exactly what that is.
Well, I know the person he contacted us somehow contacted how they still
But then you can even see, if there's a real way to partner.
Right. By the way, if you're interested in John Seed, he's got a website. John, if you Google
S-E-E-D?
John's S-E-E-D, yeah. John Seed, he's there. And there's a lot of articles. I have a review of him coming to an Oregon university. It's very interesting. He sounded like he was a big deal.
He was actually awarded by the Australian government their equivalent of knighthood. And it was a big deal because they were about to bulldoze a rainforest. He threatened to throw the medal under that.
Wow.
So, he's pretty brave.
This is a bigger deal than I realized, y'all. This is good. Well, we could use your help. Clearly, we can't accomplish this tonight because I'm going to try to get us to move on so I have 3 topics I want to cover. Another one is Earth Day. I mentioned up there at the podium that we don't have a plan. We really don't have a plan. I mean, I'm serious. We don't. Every year we find a speaker somehow, and we get something like we host a vegan dinner generally at the Ozark Natural Foods. And they're very cooperative about doing this. They make it happen really easily. They're very accommodating, in other words. But what I'm looking for is, does anybody have an idea for an angle? It doesn't have to be a speaker. It could be something else.
In the past, there has been dinners that I don't know how to put it on myself, but I'm sure that there's expertise out there because it's been done, where people come and are segregated into the menu according to what the percentage of people around the world have to eat. So you buy your dinner ticket and 10% of the people have a normal meal, but the rest are spread into very meager amounts, and you don't know until you get there what you're going to have and who you will represent. And it's a big visual for people to really see what's going on. And so instead of having the standard banquet kind of thing,
right,
this is a much more...
And you have 70% unhappy people.
But even the people that have look around and feel a little intimidated about
Then we go and use the best deli in town.
I'm going to start doing that all my dinner parties.
But I don't
Let's
know
down on
how
your
to
food
put it on, but I've heard of this being done other places.
That's a great idea. I love that.
I think on Earth Day, one angle, because I do freelance writing to do with the environment, and one thing I found, there is so much overwhelming negative information. I mean, so many people, they hear the environment, they just start cringing because the news is so bad. And I've found that something positive, like not pie in the sky, but this is a small step you can take, because everything feels so hopeless because the problems are big. And something with a positive thing, like there's one website where you do an ecological footprint, not the gas company one, but the where you look at what areas in your life can you make changes, and but something positive. I just want
And then actually calculate what your effect is.
Because there are some things like that.
Instead of all the doomsday stuff.
Yes, and also things that a lot of people may not know, because, or at least, I have to drive for my job, so I'm like, horrified at all the gas I burn. But there's some interesting stats on how much oil you can save by eating locally. Actually, usually is more than what you drive in your car. And so there's some neat, different actions than the usual.
Right. Yes.
Well, I think those are both great things. I was going to say another angle on the dinner is all local food and wild food. You know, it's the season to pick dandelions and all kinds of things.
Right.
And then also, I think the idea of putting out some positive information is so important. Kath and Diana did you come to the Pioneers presentation? Well, that was a great example, and they have a lot of information from that. That there's so many wonderful, successful projects happening all over. And they went to this huge conference that was all these presenters who presented these amazing, positive, big things that are happening on the, you know.
We should probably talk to them.
Yeah, so that could be, I mean, they might be interested in sort of bringing some of that into your day.
That's true.
I think that's a much better idea than just
Diana Rivers
giving everybody the same old depressing information.
She's a powerful speaker as well.
Right,
Diana Rivers,
right.
you all don't know
So
her.
I suggest.
Yes.
Yeah, along those same lines, transformation of the urban environment to something more sustainable, something very hands-on that people can actually do. What we do with flushing our water down toilets, maybe promotion of what are those toilets called? Thank you. You know, direct steps people can take.
Right. Well, that's true.
I met a young couple the other day I hadn't expected to see. They were like long lost friends, and I just didn't expect to see them. And up there around Dick Bennett's place, where everything is a fresh street and everything, and 3 or 4 great big old vacant houses, and they were a nice young couple. And I don't know why they didn't run away from me. There was a bobwhite quail and a cock, and they were right beside me on the sidewalk. And I said, "Hello, what are you kids doing here?" And they just looked at me. They were feeding on a few nettles because everything hadn't been mowed right there at the empty house.
Sure.
I'd like to hear Melissa Ferris say something about the watershed.
Wait, what's the day of her thing?
The date where we're, depends on who you ask.
Well, I don't know that she'd be able to, I mean, she'll have a brand new date.
Well, what happened? Oh, yeah. It's April 20th or 22nd.
Yeah. Right, yeah. So
I
just the
just-
very beginning of April, I mean, that might give her, you know, she could have a 3-week-old or she could have a week-old baby.
Yeah, not a very good
If they're
time.
moving out from, I don't know that she'd be able to. Say again, please?
Is she working with anybody prominently who might be able to represent what she's doing?
Well, Fran is still with Audubon, so maybe Fran could speak.
Fran's actually a bona fide employee instead of a visitor volunteer. She's been hired full-time and has benefits.
Well, those are options. That's good.
So she's responsible.
Huh. Well, we have a. Did you do it? We have a. By the way, we do have you know, one of our members, Mary Orton, who's not here now, and a few of us have been involved in orchestrating forums on water quality, and they've been very successful.
Well, Joyce helped. Joyce and Miriam did.
That's right. Okay, that's right.
Joyce did a great presentation.
She really did.
I've been happy to use it anywhere now that it's been spent so much time getting it ready. I'd like to hear it as many times as possible.
Okay.
I think I've
You know,
heard it.
we have this. We have, by the way, you guys. We have this environmental committee, and it's been kind of fragmented, and now it's kind of in limbo because Steve Scatterbo is in the hospital, and he will be. But he's going to be okay. He's going to be all right. And I would very much invite everybody to be a part of this committee. You know, Omni is. It's kind of mysterious to some of you, maybe, exactly what it means to be part of Omni, but you are part of Omni if you have a membership. And you can be in a committee. You don't have to come to steering committee meetings. You can be a part of this committee. I'm in the committee. I'm a member of the committee. I'm not the chairman. Steve is the chairman. But we have so much fun. It's a great little group of people. I'd love for you to join. Jamie had something that you wanted to interject.
I've actually been working at is we started collecting names and emails, and I think it probably would be appropriate to make a subgroup of Omni and it would fit in the environmental group, is we don't have any, so far I haven't come across any real connectivity in Northwest Arkansas between all the people doing alternative technologies, whether it be energy, aquaculture, you know, a lot of things like that. We have a lot of expertise in this area. We have no connection. I found out a guy just yesterday that's doing he's got his whole place off the grid and completely solar and all that kind of stuff. We need to set up a network of people, or just a meeting once every month or two where we can get together, we can share ideas, we can find out who and what's available in the area, we can pull resources for things. And I'll be working on setting that up as an environmental group within Omni, I think.
That's a great point. That's clear off the agenda, and I love it. It's true. Anybody, any thoughts?
A couple next to you are going to take a master or a gardening course in organic gardening.
Jonathan teaches organic gardening. Okay.
And they're still opening some.
Yeah.
In the Saturday class.
Yeah, and that's stuff we could tie into Earth Day as well. You know, it's also, you know, really would be nice if we could tie that into our display in our environmental display. That sounds like you could set up little examples and you know, very visual things at Springfest.
We could also have things lined out in terms of work.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. A lot. I mean, there is some thinking in putting talking about the wetland piece. Like it's kind of two parcels, and there's thinking work, you know, in terms of picking plants and picking things involved. But then there's also a lot of just like dredge work of ripping up invasives and, you know, and bee planting and things like that. And that so if we had things organized well enough on Earth Day to try to get volunteers for specific times and for specific things, that would be fantastic.
Okay, that's good.
Yes, and Steve Scatabo was out there several times and working on it before he was injured. Yes.
And you know,
that did make a huge. I mean, there's been a lot of clearing, and Lauren's done it before she hurt her leg.
Well, why don't we go ahead and move on to that? You know, and that's a great point, Jamie. And you know, a lot of what's going to happen in this group can't possibly happen tonight. And so I'm going to say, until you're tired of me saying it, that you know, if you want to see any of these ideas through, we need you in the committee.
Well, the actual idea of doing an actual activity on that wetland.
Yeah.
You could get media coverage easily because you're actually doing an action.
Right.
You've got a body of people, and you could that would be a PR boost for Omni.
Right. We're very excited.
And doing an activity for
We're very excited about it. Let's start this discussion about the wetlands. We're very lucky actually tonight. We have two people with us that are wetland celebrities, you might say.
Oh my God.
I don't know, that's kind of a crazy. But Aubrey Shepherd actually lives on the property that the wetland surrounds. It's an L-shaped piece of property, and his house is in that little L. And he's been on this thing from the beginning. And then also Jennifer lives across the street. Her house looks right onto the entrance of our little wetland. And in case you don't know what this is, it's a little piece of property. How much?
2.46 acres, and it was slated for development.
And it
was approved for development.
48 apartment units.
And the first I ever knew about it is Dick Manning called me, and he had wanted Omni to contribute to purchasing this piece of property, and it was kind of an emergency in order to keep it away from developers. And some people convened. Omni paid a good deal. Tyson's paid. Arkansas Natural Heritage Society paid.
And then the city did a match, right, or something?
Well, we had to acquire the money to match the city's 50.
Omni's contribution was with strings attached, that it must be called the Peace Wetland.
And
World Peace Wetland.
And the other catch was that the front of it, because it's kind of two projects, and you can look on the map, this is what was turned in to the Parks Board as a loose contingency. And it's hard to see in here, but the parcel is kind of two pieces. in a way that the front is up and dry land, and so it's the perfect spot for a peace garden. And it's very visible from the road. And then the back, and you can see its delineations, is the wetland that's wet. So it's kind of two things, like the wet. Right, that is. Thank you, Kelly. You come in from the street there, in that front part. If you look closely,
What street is that?
It's Duncan Avenue, and it's Duncan.
This is Aubrey's
6th
house.
and 15th. And then so where the entrance is, my house would be across the street.
This is right here.
And so, you know, the front part for a peace garden, and then the back would be like an ongoing restoration project to pull out the, you know, the invasives and replant endemics of what would be in a world, not a world, but a wetland prairie, traditional wetland prairie. And then one thing that was important to Omni was that there be trees and things symbolizing world peace and peaceful spirit between communities and other countries. And that kind of thing, like this is a loose thing, and there's some pretty stone. I guess maybe if we passed it where people could see what it is. And then, and that was kind of a loose thing. And the agreement with the Parks Board would be that for 3 years, we could, you know, this was loosely approved, and work on that, and we would have 3 years as like auto